and Jungkook suddenly separated by HYBE after explosive scandal. What really happened behind the scenes? What was meant to be a light-hearted joint interview between BTS's Taehyung and Jungkook quickly spiraled into one of the most intense and painful moments the group has faced in recent memory. Behind closed doors, in a dim backstage hallway, a sentence was spoken that would set off a chain reaction felt across the entire BTS fandom, and within the company itself. "You weren't supposed to say that," Taehyung, Jungkook hissed, his voice sharp with anger. His fists were clenched, his body trembling, not with fear, but with a fury he could barely contain. Taehyung stood frozen under the corridor's harsh lighting. Something irreversible had just happened. A microphone had stayed on. The cameras had still been rolling. And now, a private truth had become public knowledge. "I had to," Taehyung muttered, struggling to justify the moment. "They were going to twist it anyway. At least this way, I control the story." Jungkook let out a bitter laugh. "You call that control?" Before they could say another word, a staff member burst in, pale and breathless. "It's leaked. The clip, it's everywhere." And just like that, a single sentence from Taehyung, off-script, raw, and unintended for the public, turned into a global controversy. The internet exploded. Fans began digging. Theories swirled. Old messages, hidden emotions, and unexplained silences were all brought under the microscope. What had Taehyung meant when he said, "He promised me he'd never get involved with that again"? Maybe I was wrong to trust him. One vague sentence, yet it was enough to ignite a firestorm. That night, HYBE called an emergency meeting. The atmosphere in the room was tense, sterile, like an operating room before a critical surgery. The BTS members sat quietly, some confused, others deeply uncomfortable. On the screen, the now viral clip played in a loop. Namjoon stood at the center, acting as the anchor between the chaos and the company's response. Legal advisors were already speaking of NDA violations, lawsuits, press demands, and stock market tremors. "We're separating your schedules," HYBE's PR head finally declared. "No joint content. No collabs. No appearances together, until further notice." Taehyung looked stunned. Jungkook's chair screeched as he stood abruptly. "You think separating us will solve this?" Namjoon answered softly, "It's not about solving, Jungkook. It's about surviving." Later, alone in his apartment, Jungkook scrolled through hundreds of messages. Headlines like "Taehyung exposed" and "Jungkook lied" dominated every social media platform. Theories ranged from business betrayals to long-hidden romantic relationships. Some were absurd. Others, terrifyingly close to the truth. One message stood out, from Taehyung. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I was cornered. I said what I thought would make it stop." But Jungkook didn't respond. He couldn't. Meanwhile, Taehyung sat alone in a hotel room booked last minute by HYBE. He tried drafting an apology post but deleted it every time. "No apology will sound sincere now," he whispered. But deep down, he wasn't sure he regretted it. If he hadn't said what he did, would Jungkook have ever told the truth? The damage wasn't just external. The group dynamic shifted. Jungkook rehearsed alone now. His usual smile faded. Taehyung was sent overseas for solo campaigns. The members avoided the topic. Jin offered distractions. Jimin reached out. Namjoon watched from the shadows, calculating how to prevent total collapse. But the fans noticed everything. Then, a late-night fan forum post changed everything again. A screenshot of an alleged private conversation between Taehyung and Jungkook from a year ago surfaced. "If you ever tell anyone, even the company, it's over." The question shifted from "What did Taehyung say?" To what has Jungkook been hiding? In a dance studio days later, Jungkook finally confronted Taehyung in person. You leaked a sentence that wasn't yours, Jungkook growled. I didn't leak anything. The mic was on. You think I wanted this to happen? Taehyung shot back. Yes, Jungkook snapped. Because you're still angry I made that decision without you. And then came the reveal that no fan was prepared for. I was in love with you, Taehyung said, voice shaking. Jungkook turned away, pain etched across his face. You didn't have to say that on the podcast. I was tired of hiding, Taehyung whispered. Of pretending you were just my bandmate. Their argument exploded into truths too long buried, of a past relationship hidden for years, of choices made out of fear, of betrayal born from silence. Jungkook accused Taehyung of trying to destroy him publicly. Taehyung countered, I thought if I said it first, you wouldn't be afraid anymore. But the fallout was just beginning. HYBE announced a surprise livestream to calm the storm. A forced appearance of unity. Taehyung and Jungkook sat side by side, fruit platter between them, fake smiles plastered on their faces. We're brothers, Jungkook said. We fight sometimes. But we always find our way back, Taehyung added. Yet under the table, their knees never touched. The next day, Dispatch dropped another bomb, leaked photos of Taehyung and Jungkook holding hands outside a private villa during BTS's hiatus. Screenshots, voice notes, and a trail of emotional wreckage followed. HYBE acted swiftly, again. To protect the emotional well-being of our artists, they announced, Taehyung and Jungkook will no longer appear together. Fans were torn. Some blamed Taehyung. Others labeled Jungkook a coward. And the silence between the two idols grew louder. Taehyung moved out of the dorm. Jungkook disappeared from social media. Jimin cancelled his live. Namjoon postponed events. This wasn't just a scandal. This was a fracture. In the dead of night, Jungkook found a handwritten letter in his mailbox. No stamp. No address. Just his name, written in Taehyung's handwriting. You asked me to protect you. And I did. I lied. I carried it. But love buried in silence begins to feel like shame. Then came the knock. Open the door, Taehyung's voice came from the other side. If you read that letter and don't open this door, I swear I'll break it down. Jungkook opened it. You think this fixes anything? He asked. It doesn't fix, Taehyung replied. It reminds. They argued. Fought. Exposed every raw nerve left between them. Accusations of selfishness, fear, sacrifice, and silence were thrown like daggers. I didn't know how to love you in public, Jungkook confessed. And I didn't know how to keep loving you in secret. You made me lie, Taehyung said. You told me it would protect us. But it only protected your image. And finally, the truth broke through. I still love you, Jungkook whispered. But I don't know how to show it anymore. Later, Taehyung sat in the practice room, strumming an old song they once wrote together. Jungkook listened from the hallway, unseen. That melody, once a promise, now floated like a ghost through the room. The world had changed them. Fame, fear, and silence had done their worst. But the love? It was still there. Even if it lived only in the shadows.